utility-wise, the same thing is happening here, OSX, right? You have quite the front line. You have also a lot of CC utility available to you for your Brazil. And you have poke. You have great poke because, yeah, like I said, that should be the Novaria.
Yeah, good poke, good vision. You have a way of utilizing your Numenon Blast more. If you have an Novaria reveal something, make the hitbox more. Yes, they showed up the Atlas. I'm happy now. If you're wishing Gorge show up, I am wishing Atlas to even show up.
I saw it in your talent reveal.
Yeah.
It's great though. Atlas, solid choice, and I think it's going to work really well with this lineup. Now, the one thing is, as I just mentioned before that Atlas was locked in, durability. This is more or less the same thing. You have an Atlas that's quite tanky. He's going to be able to find the setups with the Fatal Links, but also Martis being slippery and kind of hard to catch himself. And then you've got a Terizla to deal with. So again, if you're Brazil, you have to hope that you get that damage locked in early on and you're able to control the momentum of the game here, because as the game progresses, that's where we find it a little bit more difficult to find those kills.
Yeah, momentum for the Astral Echo. Once that ultimate has been used, you might want to get that follow-up with the Numenon Blast. And with that, that is kind of like the threat right now for the CC coming from Brazil. On the other hand, as we see the side of Team Indonesia, you also have ways to protect yourself from that Novaria, if that is a Novaria, and also the Fredrin as well. That's a way of like dealing or deflecting more of the damages that you can get up against a Fredrin as well as a Brody. Well, we have this open window from the early game that makes, again, Indonesia stand strong for their momentum, for their gold lane.
Not only that, but like I was saying, you know, here, we're going to find out too, okay? It wasn't Novaria, so I was going to say, right?
Okay.
I didn't want to go like too much into it just in case it wasn't Arlot, but yeah, Novaria locked in. And as you were saying, you know, poke-wise, the potential is really massive here. Anytime you have a Novaria, not only that, but just the vision potential that you can provide for your team, which actually works out really well, especially when you have this Lolita here. And in the fact that it's in the hands of Luna, who, you know, loves these types of picks, loves to find these setups, it should work out well for them. You know, even though he's taken this early punishment in the mid lane, you can usually count on Luna to find the setups on these types of heroes.
Yeah, and speaking of folks here, we have the Impure Rage present as well for Moreno and Super Ken. In the early stages, this might where they can actually shine with the Ashura aura. Of course, the flicker out of Luna though.
Yeah, so that's tough, right? But they already got that resource out this early on. Should it be available, he'll have at least the Numenon Blast leading into that turtle. That will be crucial, but the fact that he doesn't have the flicker, you know, unfortunately won't be able to find those setups that we're used to seeing. So right now, in this early phase of the game, this is what we can expect. Both teams just trying to find any win they can. That doesn't necessarily mean, you know, an early kill, but if they can get some of these battle spells down before that first turtle comes up in about 30 seconds, that's great, right? Same thing can be said if they can find early kills like that. There you go.
Another
they
fourth up resource
yeah.
from Cerezo. That is the Appraser's Wrath. Almost onto nothing HP for Cerezo. Still saving by, still saved by the Altar's Turret Energy Shields, nice too. And just by looking at this situation, and it's just 2 minutes, the first turtle is up, and now they're looking for a better way to secure this. We have, again, Buzizo and Super Ken on the area, as well as Vin. No ultimate yet present for the Atlas, but for Buzizo, he has the ultimate still present. Look at almost half HP on to Vin. But meanwhile, on the other hand, we have a great space here for Indonesia to take this turtle.
Okay, he's going to get whittled down here. Turtle's still going to be worked on. It is secured. It binds Buzizo. Able to secure that there. Still looking for more here. Couple knockups found here. Cerezo not level 4 yet. Will go down. I think he was hoping to utilize the penalty zone even defensively if he could, but not able to. Brazil getting 2 kills plus the turtle there as we take a look at the replay.
Going back on how this went through, Luna was trying to find a setup here, but once they've heard that Luna Blast was already used, this was the commitment that the Valentina could actually give for the side of Brazil. So this was a missed chance for actually getting that good setup, but getting that first turtle, it's just completely Brazil taking the chance by having just a retribution.
Well, right now, again, we're at this point. Brazil doing what they had to do. We talked about this in the draft. They have to start early. They have to get the momentum building. That's exactly what they've done at 3 minutes in the game, right? How can they profit off of that? How can they build on this, if you will? And really, it's utilizing the Paquito. You were talking about how much, hold on, Super Ken gonna be in trouble. He will fall in the jungle, so they're still pressing the momentum here. And once again, I was saying, you know, Black on this Paquito, he has this advantage already. The damage is great on Paquito when he gets early lead, and hopefully they can continue to utilize that. Same thing can be said with a Novaria who gets these early kills. The poke potential is devastating.
Yeah, speaking of poke potential, right now Moreno has his Enchanted Talisman present. Well, speaking of amplifying more of the pokes of Valentina, well, having an extra mana goes a lot of way on forcing things out of Brazil. You were talking about resources. 3 flickers are now present, and if you want to have a better way to make actually them react on those kinds of team fights, it's just what Moreno does since game number 1. Force something out, and just by looking at the items here, we have Steel Leg Breaks present for the Terizla, as well 2 Blade of Heptasis, as well as those 2 Steel Leg Breaks present and 1 Blade of Heptasis for Ukatizi, as well as this is one way of having an essential damage if you're up against Saken and you want to have that extra, well, a bit of a punch with that torn apart memory at this point in the game. It might go a long way, but it actually holds something in specifically objective takes.
Vin looking for the Fatal Links. Turtle going to be secured once again by Brazil, but now here comes the punishment. Vin was looking for the setup, but he will go down here. Brazil in full control. Happy with the objective, happy with a kill. They're off to a great start.
Yes. 14K gold lead. Now the difference of having 3K, 2K and again counting for Team Brazil. Looking for avenues such as this, Rizzo, and even Blacks having this one-on-one right on the bottom side of the map. Just controls a complete team fight, and just by going at this replay, having a great way or a chance for this objective take. Vin was trying to find an avenue with the ultimate that he can get up against Brazil, but most of the time, once that ultimate has been used, that's the way of looking for a comeback for Brazil, because if ultimate or CC is concerned, that could be Luna's way of securing that set for Brazil.
Not only that too, but just Vin didn't get the angle he was looking for, you know, with that Fatal Links, and it just kind of collapsed right at that point. So we'll see if he's still able to pull it off. Top lane though, there's a whole lot of action happening here. Upa will fall. Now Luna gonna go down as well. That's a nice double decimate coming through from Super Ken. Now the focus, Saken getting him away. Bazizio now going to be focusing on Vin. Will force him back. Moreno here to help him out too. They might still give it a go. A couple shots coming through from Saken. Bazizio quite tanky though. Should be able to just back off. All this leading into that next turtle, third one of the game.
No casualties. Right on to 2 teams right now heading for the next objective. 17 seconds for this turtle to show up. Saken into position though. Looking for an angle on where could Vin actually might show up. Ejected state's now been used. Now target onto 1.
Bazizio going to be in a little bit of trouble here. Quite tanky himself though. Holding on for now. Just trying to hold his ground. Turtle now going to spawn up. He's going to start it up. We have Brazil getting in position, but Indonesia knows what's up here. You can see even the XP laners trying to make their way. They're in a clash themselves on the bottom side. Meanwhile, Turtle's going to be worked out here. Half health now. Vision being provided. Vin still going to be looking for that Fatal Link's going to find the target. Turtle going to be secured by Super Ken. Now they collapse down. There's a huge penalty zone as they follow up as Luna falls. Zupa able to grab a kill. Still going to be unleashing here on the top side. The 1-2 punch comes through from Black. It's a 2-for-2 trade. Turtle secured by Indonesia.
Cerezo for the entry. Penalty zone, boxing out 2 members out of Brazil. And going back on this replay, Vin actually wanted to have a great target, but they didn't see where the penalty zone might come in. Vin was already half HP here, but one thing that changed here is that the penalty zone. Almost half HP was dropping down the side of Brazil, and that was one avenue that didn't see coming. The knock-up, the CC from Indonesia was just a complete damage from Brazil to even take, even for that objective to be taken, even stolen by Retribution.
So once again, we find ourselves at a nearly even point. Brazil, with the great lead they had in the early game, whittled down a little bit. They still hold on to a lead here. So they got to continue doing what they've been doing for the most part. That last fight didn't go their way. But Black's still in a good position. Also just picking up a key item here, has the Dominance Ice, now going to be working on it. They get a turret down in the bottom lane. This is all setting up for that Lord once it does spawn, but cross-map plays are going to happen. They're trading objectives here for the space advantage for both teams until they ultimately meet in the mid lane. You see both of them getting a position.
Yeah, and TKRS now being taken by Super Ken. It's just that how they wanted to deflect the damage from Brazil. Also, 4 members were trying to get him out of the turret completely right away. So at some point, they're looking for these pickups that they can actually use up against Indonesia. But at this way of seeing their items right now being present, a lot of ways to counter. You have the Antikyras, you also have the Dominance Ice, and 2 Antikyras actually are present. And to deal with the penetration that the Brody has, you have the Blade of Hephaestus, and also you have the Malefic Roar. So I say they have more tools now to answer the defenses of Brazil, especially now in the First Lord. They would really want to have this advantage, have a push for the base of Brazil.
Once again, we find ourselves at this Lord dance, first one in the game. Keep an eye on Vin. It's going to be up to him to find a Fatal Link setup if he can. Same thing can be said about Luna as they wait patiently. Lord half health being worked on. Both XP laners also joining. Vin going to spot out Luna, forcing him back here. Who's going to pull the trigger first? Vin flickers, but he whiffs it, and they have to call it back here. That was a mistake, but they can still salvage it. But Brazil knows that. He doesn't have the flicker available. They still have to watch out for the Fatal Links. The Lord going to be worked on quite low here. Will be secured by Brazil. Can they win the fight? Zarizo going to go ahead and jump in. Still going to be focused down. Black does get taken out. Now the Appraiser's Wrath comes down on Vin. They follow up with the kill. Upa grabs it. So they trade 1 for 1, but the Lord secured for Brazil.
A bit of a misplay there with the flicker, but still a salvaged way of answering that team fight by just looking at this replay, looking at the Numenor that's being cancelled. And this point in time, even the penalty zone was key to even counter for the CC on what Indonesia wanted to take back against this objective. Flowing through the damages, yes, they were deflecting most of the time, but Brazil there, if they had the perfect opening, when that Numenor blast was in the perfect set, it could go their way in winning that team fight. But as of now, Indonesia will be pushed on a defense with the Lord marching in their base.
The thing about this lineup for Indonesia, though, they do have a relatively good defense, right? They should be able to clear things out pretty well. They have clear potential. But at this point, you know, as you get further into the game here, OSX, this is really where that Novaria pick starts to shine. You can poke people down, at least to get that favorable position to fight these situations, these skirmishes, right? And what we're seeing too is a much better game for Upatizi here. Much better than the Irithyll we saw in the last game, right? You can see it. Even in his positioning, in a lot of these fights, it does look more in his favor. He's more comfortable on this Brody pick, right? But still, a lot of this can come down to these setups. Vin whiffing the flicker earlier on, if he had that available, that could have been a different fight, right? But at least Brazil was able to secure that Lord. They made a little bit of movement across the map, but still, ultimately, even with this lead that they have in terms of gold, they still have to choose their fights wisely, right? They can't just nonchalantly walk up and fight Indonesia just yet.
Well, speaking of Navarra now being in the position, especially on the mid-game, this is where Navarra shines in terms of vision, also poke. And if you up against an Atlas who might want to see, speaking of which, Astral Echo, or Recall rather, just only hit them, just revealing a lot of, well, positions out of Indonesia, so that you don't want that, especially if you want to have a good setup for your team. So with this, they would be more eager to take in vision, get in for the reconnaissance, especially have good setup and have a good way of just clearing through the defense of Brazil. That's why they've secured their win. Right now, Buzizio has the immortality present. He has more ways of soaking up damage as well as just being in the front line. Just this, taunting Super Ken, just surviving and just letting him use the Ashura aura. But Vin, on the other hand, though, receiving damage such as that, almost half HP, revealing again the vision and in the positioning of Indonesia. Again, if you have this kind of hesitation, and if you're up against that Novaria, you need to have a clear stand if you want to commit or not.
Got to respect the damage from Black as well on this Paquito. He did, with a couple shots, take Vin down, and Vin is one of the tankier members here of Indonesia. And you can see it, right? Even this, the torn apart memory is not going to kill Ken there, but you have to start respecting that damage coming out from Brazil, right? And now that this leads into this next Lord take, we'll see if Indonesia, if they want to go ahead and press the situation here. They have all the tools they need.
Look at that poke.
But Brazil can respond very quickly to this. Biggest things you got to watch out for if you're Brazil is that initiation with the penalty zone or the fatal links, regardless of flickers or not.
Ooh, look at Black on full stack. Full stack damage alert right there on the bush. Nobody's checking it now, though. Okay,
for a play.
On the conceal, nobody's secured the back line.
Fatal Link's gonna come through. Still, Sakin could be in trouble too. Had to use the ultimate. Meanwhile, still working here in the mid lane. Upa up. Luna gonna charge up. Nuno Blast goes in with a flicker. Still looking for the kill. Will they get it? One hit away. Chorizo falls. And there you go. They get the number advantage. Still gonna be looking for more though. No one giving the call for the Lord just yet. Vin takes a couple shots. Torn apart memory.
Vin.
Stacks are there, but not able to get it. They give the go signal on the Lord, though. Indonesia might not just give this one up, though.
Yeah, so much pumpkin has been popped. They're almost, well, a lot of smiley pumpkins on the ultimate from that Luminal Blast. But the takedown on Chorizo, now Brazil has more advantage to freely get this Lord for themselves, because for the most part, it's the battle, it's just the ambush, it's just the mechanical prowess of this team you just need to respect for. So now they have secured the Lord, and also they have a way of pushing the defenses now of Indonesia. So approaching late game, they might need to have more damage now if you're up against the Mojito and as well as the Brody. Now the window, now Brazil is completely, could actually shine in this one.
I think they are. You know, at this point, you can say they're shining, man. Like, they've got the lead they need. They just got that Lord. They had a great team fight there, execution-wise and everything else. Now, what's left to question is how do they play around this Lord, right? It's going to be marching down the bottom side. It will most likely charge in, and they have to make the decision. You know, do we push into this mid side? Do we keep the pressure on the top? Again, Indonesia has a great lineup to make some clears here. As you see, they're going to make quick work on this Lord.
Oh, look at the taunt on Super Ken.
Still going to be working on it. Super Ken should be just fine. They hold the Lord there. They take it out very quickly, holding on to that inhibitor turret. They do lose one, though, that tier 2. Now possibly this tier 2 in the top side. So Brazil still able to get something out of that Lord, despite it going down rather quickly from the clear from Indonesia.
Now, if you're talking about the lineup or the wonders of the composition of Indonesia, well, Atlas could actually have clutch games and actually win or get comebacks. You just need to have the perfect flicker ult combo. I had that once, even in my games.
Yeah.
Completely having the great advantage in positioning. That just wanted to address it. But if you want to be in a state where you can get a lot of players in, even in your ultimate, you need to have a great way of items to even sustain that fight. You have Dominance Ice, you have the Athena Shield, probably building for an extra immortality rather, or probably a great way of sustaining those team fights, because if he is more concerned with the damage, he might go either for the immortality next for this one and actually be in the zone to get a good setup for his team.
It's just crazy that Black has so much gold, you know, like compared to even his team, right? He's just massive on this Paquito right now, and I think that's really what is paying dividends for this in this matchup against Indonesia, you know, in game 2. And it's proving to be a thorn in the side of Indonesia. And as the game progresses, that kind of transitions, right? Where Upa can shine. Super Syndra now picking up the Winter Truncheon as well. Able to get a little bit more survivability here on the initiations coming through, especially from Vin. So, you know, those minor decisions, those minor interactions can really change the course of these team fights now at this point, right? Almost 18 minutes in. By the time this Lord dance starts, we're going to be at a crucial point, right, for both these teams. And that gold lead that Brazil does have, they've held on to.
Imagine how deadly this combo is.
Yeah.
Oh,
no.
Spotted.
Black. Immortality going to be popped here, but will go down. That is very unfortunate as the Lord comes up.
Yeah, and if you would want to have a counter for damage or even a knockup from the back line, oh, they're not stopping yet. Super Ken.
Oh.
Taunted.
Torn apart memory going to come through. Not able to pick up the kill just yet. They force the jungler back, though. Still going to be working on some more. Uba has to flicker around. He will go down, though. Moreno able to pick up the kill. Look at the unleashing damage from Sakin. Able to force them back. That is the power of a fully itemized Melissa here. Now they give the go signal on the Lord. Indonesia looking to punish Brazil. Zizio forced out of here. Still has the immortality. There's the Fatal Links. Should be a kill for them. Team not sure if they want to back him up. Luna gonna charge up. Gets the stun with the Numenon Blast. But ultimately for nothing. Members will fall for Brazil. Lord secured for Indonesia.
A major objective and 2 people out of Brazil. Now we're looking at attack and just shining through that needles and flowers. Basic hits right onto the members of Brazil. How can you even go even up front with that? Either if you might want to take a step closer, either Vin takes you, either Chorizo takes you. There's a lot of problems that need to address. So with this kind of looking at a way of having a bounce back up against Indonesia, either have a good amount of defense or even items by just sustaining team fights with Indonesia. By looking at the Atlas right now, or even Lolita, he has the again the Athena shield. I think he has immortality though. But you don't want to keep using that, or you don't want to have that mistake of like losing the immortality when you get the chance to have a perfect set. Either you get a good follow-up, you get good reinforcement, or lose it.
Well, that's what happened to Black, you know, minutes ago. He had the immortality, but it went down. They found him on the part of the map that you just don't want to be before that Lord comes up by herself. So now they find themselves on the defense, right? Lord still making its way on the top side. The assault coming through in the bottom lane. This will be an inhibitor turret going down. Meanwhile, they're probably going to lose both of these because right now Indonesia just holding on, right? Again, expect a flicker Fatal Links or a flicker penalty zone, one or the other. Turret will fall on the top side. Eyes still set on the back line here. Vin gonna go through. There's the Fatal Links, able to find 2. Bazizio will fall. That was an immortality popped as well. Upa in trouble. Goes in with the Wind of Nature, but they don't get the kill. It's a double though on Black. And now gonna be working on the Crystal, and Indonesia turns the game 2 around as they clean up and take the series.
A 2-0. Right in our 3rd match of the playoffs day. A great start for Indonesia today, and even in their own lineup, late game, they answered correctly the problems they're up against Brazil's early game power.
Similar to what we saw earlier, OSX. Gold lead for one or the other team.